Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
Tonight we're talking about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 33, Blood and Dust. Very near our one-third mark that we were basically started counting last campaign.
Yeah.
To 100 episodes. This one's exactly a third of the way.
Yeah.
And had all of the structure you'd expect in, as we've been talking about, they are definitely through Act 1 of their story. And this episode was the rising tension.
Yeah, turn that bitch to 11.
In an exponential curve kind of rise. Yes. I laughed the first, I guess, 10 minutes of the episode.
Okay.
Just because we talked about what they were going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to split up.
Yeah.
They're not going to have a plan.
Yeah.
Just checking boxes.
I mean, yeah.
A lot of people got mad at Matt. And
Yeah.
I came to his defense in a couple threads. Which we can get to as we get deeper into the episode. But
it's, yeah. Right off the bat, like you said, they split up, and FCG doesn't know which way to go. So he's like, I'm going to stay here and look for who's doing the attack. They're like, okay, valid, sure. And he's like, oh, there's someone down. Okay, I'm going to go out to spare the dying and hesitate, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And that was a great moment.
And then he's like, Laura says, are you afraid to cast spells? And he says, yes, Sam does. And then he continues to cast spells.
So I think he's afraid to cast certain spells. Spare the Dying, Guidance, he doesn't want to cast at one point.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to buff people.
Except he does that with his class features.
Those aren't spells. And does he do that in this fight?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Twice he gives people temporary hit points.
Against Otahan, yeah.
It just... And yes, there were a couple of times where he mimicked wincing in pain, but it didn't seem consistent.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple of times where he healed people and didn't wince.
So, I think the reason for that is Sam is experimenting with an idea that he expressed last episode or two. That he really does feel what they feel when he is healing them or when he absorbs the damage, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a new idea that he hasn't exactly solidified how he wants to.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting, you know. But, yeah, Rose, you're right. He didn't do his job well. I just thought it was interesting. You know, Sam usually has things well planned out. And to see him...
Sam has his pranks, trolling, and lore well planned out.
You don't think this falls under lore?
No.
Okay.
I think this is a result of the interaction with Imaharaja and them opening him up and when he cast the spell and him learning what happened inside of him when that happened. And I don't know if Matt had that planned out or if that was just Matt adding some flavor text, as it were.
Gotcha.
But I think he's trying to incorporate that information into his role play. I think he was very envious of Liam and Caleb in campaign 2. Or maybe envious is the wrong word. Maybe he loved the way that
inspired by.
Yeah. How Liam described him casting his spells and using his components. And made mention of that in one of the episodes. He's like, you're doing all this cool stuff, and we just say, I cast the spell.
Yeah, which, I mean, Liam is a master at doing that.
Yeah. And again, it gets down to what gets you into character.
Yeah.
And I think Sam is trying to work some of Liam's methodology into his own.
Gotcha.
And he's just short-circuiting, for lack of...
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Well, I mean, there is the question of whether he's alive or not.
The Treshy group kind of did everything right. And the dice certainly didn't hurt them.
Yes.
Essentially 3 natural 20s in a row. And, I mean, Imogen making all the right moves down there. It would have been awesome if her command had worked.
Yes. That was a brilliant use, but the dice just said no.
I think Travis, because he was very excited and enamored with the fact that she used command and said in and, pointed at the hole. And he's like, that's one word?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just sort of aftershocks of Jester. and word count being an important portion of sending, where Imogen doesn't do the same thing.
Right.
But her finding ways to use command with the one word has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And his reaction to it was just kind of tickled me. We got confirmation Treshy is a prisoner.
Yep.
And is worried for his life from Thule. And which is pretty close to what I thought. That they were not happy with him essentially costing them the contract.
Right.
So they want their pound of flesh, as it were.
Right.
Which kind of makes me wonder, because Otahan was not particularly worried or giving orders or jumping into the fray.
Yeah.
Did she hire Artana Vo through roundabout means to come get Treshy? To get his bounty?
Maybe.
To get some sort of recompense? And then reveal, hey, I'm the one that helped you get Treshy. Let me into your city. And try to get that job, that contract a different way. That was my thought. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know how many levels of chess she's playing.
Yeah, I think Laura was right. I don't think the attack was with Artana. I think she used it as a distraction. assassins don't usually work in big groups. See, my thought was that Odahan set up the attack, not
To
necessarily
test her new recruits.
to A, test her new recruits, B, test Imogen.
Mm. Yeah,
And I think Artanavo was just the wild card in there.
interesting. Or might not even have to set up the attack itself, just leak the right information to the right people.
Right. Make sure the right person was in the room that's going to leak that information when it was discussed.
Yeah.
That was my view on the first half.
Interesting. I hadn't
And
thought
that's
about that.
why she doesn't do anything till the second half, because that's when, okay, I know what I'm up against. I know what this is. I know who I want. Because if you've got possibly Imogen, definitely with her powers, but being rude is poor, definitely Fern, how many of these people have what I'm looking for? How many of these people can I use?
Hmm.
Okay, all of these are expendable except for her. Now I know what I'm going to do. And I think whichever way they turned, they would have ended up facing her, because I think she was waiting out there with herself and an echo. And if they had turned left, she would have just swapped with the echo.
Oh,
and been in front of them either way.
Yeah. Fair.
That was my reading into the first half and how it fed into the second half.
Interesting. Laudna, Marisha,
Channeling her inner Ira.
Spider Climb, Mirror Image.
Yep.
Such a good 1-2 combo.
Yeah.
Of prep spells.
Yeah.
And during the fight, on my initial watch, I was like, hey, she's got another mirror image. And when I was making my notes, I was going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, wait, no, because Matt charged them like 2 or 3 minutes to get to and through the gate.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because at the point when they ask about how long Trushy's been in there, they're like, "Yeah, he's been in there like 2-3 minutes."
Yeah. So mirror image would have been done.
Faded, yeah.
So I was like, all right, fair. And also a reminder that, my memory is not always perfect.
Which, I mean, I was just counting. I was like, this is going to go on. At some point, you're just going to have, like, Trushy burst out of someone's shirt pocket because he's fighting as he doesn't have any air.
So here's the thing about that.
Because they're all like, oh, he's going to die in there. He's going to suffocate. You can fight your way out of a portable hole.
You can. But the problem with carbon dioxide poisoning is you don't know you're in danger until it's too late.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's when he starts to get nervous.
Yeah.
If he gets nervous soon enough. But I mean, it's not hard to fight your way out of a portable hole.
I think it's like a DC
10.
Yeah.
Strength check.
Yeah. So he can get out. It's just a matter of, does he have the patience?
The trust.
And does he notice early enough the signs that he is asphyxiating?
Well, don't they say when they're talking about, like, 7 minutes, they say in front of him, like, either 7 or 9 minutes, and I know they cut it short. They didn't say the full 10 minutes. But I'm pretty sure it was before he went in the hole that Orm was like, you'll have like 7 minutes. He said either 7 or 9 minutes. And I want to say, I'm like 80% sure it was before that Treshy went in the hole. When they first laid it out.
Oh, yeah, before Imogen commanded him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he gleams onto that information,
which also comes back to trust. Does he trust that information is accurate?
Yeah.
The huge confusion for me in the first half is FCG becoming fixated on the crawler. And I don't know why Sam did that.
See, and I think we're going to go into a Hermione Granger spew type background thing with FCG and these automatons.
What do you mean?
Because the crawlers are creatures. And I think that's why he was so, we can't abandon it. Not that we can't drop the vehicle. It's like, this is a living thing.
Well, no, he had committed himself to stealing that damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And stealing a crawler had been a big part of their plan in the early phases before they had even gone into the fort.
Right.
I think Sam is using his glitch out as sort of a reset.
Mm.
And maybe that's a part of the plan that Sam remembered. And
I can see that. See, I took it as, he's been questioning whether or not, he's like, I'm not really alive. And then he finds out, oh, maybe I am.
Well, I mean, he made the joke that maybe I can drive it because I was one.
But there's also like if I am, are they?
Yeah. Ashton trying to salvage the situation outside.
Yeah.
I thought was admirable. And Taliesin was in an impossible situation. Because I think he trusts Laudna.
Oh, yeah. Every relationship starts with trust.
He seemed torn between, can I trust Fern on her own?
No.
Or do I need to go save FCG from doing whatever the hell it is he's doing?
Yes.
Oh my god, what is he doing?
And, I mean...
And that's the way that he went. And luckily, Fern was just like...
Yeah. In that mix-up, they ended up getting... Matt said you have 3 vials of the gray liquid. So they have 3 of the Dunamancy.
Yep.
Which will be important when we talk about things later.
Potentially, yeah.
My theory.
Excuse me.
One thing the first half of this showed me, and I mentioned this to you earlier, is that while Laudna and Chetney are both horror-themed characters, Laudna is actually out of a horror movie,
yeah,
and Chetney is out of the Scary Movie franchise.
Yeah. He's definitely National Lampoon's material. Is it Eddie?
Who?
In the Vacation series. Her brother.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's That's closest to Chetney. I mean, can't you just see him?
Yeah.
Outside in the snow. Shitter's full.
Yeah.
Laudna had her own fixation on using the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And it became evident this crawler's not going to go anywhere. Where can I plant it next? And she picked the right one.
Hats off to her. Yeah.
Had they escaped, like, that's who they want the ring on.
Yeah. 100%. And that was you're about a foot away. Hello, darkness.
So good. So darkness is a spell that can be cast on an object, and it will be carried with the object, or you can cast it in an area.
Mm-hmm.
She was non-specific as to the target of her spell.
Yes.
Do you think Matt interpreted it was on something on Otahan, or that it was just in the area?
I assume that it was just in the area, and I assume that's what Matt assumed. My assumption when I'm running the game, if someone says they cast darkness, unless they specify
On
an object, they block out the area and they put it on that area. Unless they specify, I cast darkness on my sword so that I'm surrounded by it, or I cast darkness so that they,
Fair.
And she uses her Shadow Sorcerer ability, which allows her to cast it using a sorcery point, and by doing it that way, she gets to see through the magical darkness that she created.
Well, I think it's 2 or 3 sorcery points.
It is.
Yeah.
It's 2. And the escape was great too. I just jump off, and then just before I land, I cast Featherfall.
So, it's an interesting rules question, because forced movement does not provoke an attack of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping prone does not provoke an attack of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
She essentially dropped prone off the wall and was forcefully moved through gravity downward.
No. Because she didn't say I just let go and fall. She said I jump off. Which puts it under the jumping rules, which does provoke an attack of opportunity.
Okay. Fair enough.
Again, just like with darkness, it comes to the semantics of the wording. Just like the wish spell, it comes to the semantics of the wording.
We use plain language, as Jeremy Crawford says. That's fair. Although Matt ruled that he thought he remembered, if you can't see the target, you can't take an opportunity attack.
Right. I'm not sure that's exactly that's the spirit of it, but it's like if you're unaware of them.
Yeah.
Because if you know someone is invisible near you,
yeah,
like if you can attack the square and attack with disadvantage, then you can make the attack of opportunity at disadvantage because you're aware that they're in that square.
Yeah.
But you can't see them.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation.
Yeah. So in the moment, he just says she swings wildly.
Yeah.
Which is no different than if he had said she takes her attack of opportunity, rolled his dice, and either she did really miss or just decided that she missed because behind the screen they don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you're saving it up to kill him in the second half, then you don't want to kill him in the first.
Yeah.
You don't want to tip your head too quickly how powerful you are.
and I think that might be part of it. The players didn't do their homework as to Otahan's abilities. And
which confused me. And a lot of people, evidently, you know.
oh, her abilities?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, so...
I mean, on surface value, if we're going to jump ahead, she is...
Well, I mean, we're there.
I mean, she...
Unless you want to joke about the door.
I mean, yeah, there was the old nemesis. An honest pastime, as Matt said.
And Ashton using rages to open it when Stonky's ring would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Which takes us back to the cathedral in Whitestone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think of 5th level spells overkill? Not if that's what it took!
To be fair,
but yeah,
well,
Otahan's abilities.
There was the with Artana Bow where they convinced her to be on their side.
Oh yeah.
And then the next room over, I push her into the guy, turn her over. Wait, betrayal so quick? Wait, Uno reverse, undo the betrayal. And I honestly believe that that was a betrayal. Like, I'm just going to betray her now and get it out of the way. Because she was not happy. Imogen was not happy she was there. She was like,
yeah,
you shouldn't have trusted her, but
yeah.
tell her whatever the fuck you want, short guy, you know?
Yeah.
She was not happy when he finally asked her advice. And I think she was like, honestly, there you go. Get her out of our hair now. That's one less thing we have to... Oh, hey, I hope she remembers we, you know. Well, let me tell her real quick. Let me cover my tracks.
Yeah.
I think it was an honest betrayal and reversal of betrayal. I don't think
so.
It was a Han and Chewie thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. They didn't lock the manacles, so she had a chance.
Right. But I don't think that was thought of when she pushed Artana to the other guy.
No, I think in Imogen's mind it was, you're not our problem anymore.
Yeah.
This buys us...
You're his problem, you're out of our hair, we can move on with what we want to do.
Yeah. And we look good now, because I captured you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, either side she talks to, she looks good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she turned her over, she escaped, and we went looking. But she was on our side. Oh, yeah, you knew my hands were undone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the crawler was the wrong choice. Because one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how the TPK, can we call it a TPK? Everyone was down at one point except Imogen.
Yeah.
And the fight ended with 3 people dead.
2 dead, 1 down.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know if Laudna's...
Yeah. And
Now, she did go down and get the 2 fails because of an attack, but then she rolled that natural 20. And then she went down at the very end. Because the last thing is...
Oh, was she your favorite?
Yeah. But the last thing Marisha says is, wait, am I dead? Do I roll? And Matt's like, we'll find out next week.
Yeah. But it was a series of bad decisions that led to that TPK, that led to that moment.
And
and the first domino was the crawler.
Yeah.
Because she can hear that thing moving around, even if she can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
She can hear it go that way.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to see.
You're absolutely right, Rose. She cannot die before. And I would like to point out, Lana did amazing in the fight, especially with Wither and Bloom bringing 2 people back.
Yes.
And the one time she had a multiple choice of who to bring back, she chose Ashton.
Yeah.
Because she could have done Ashton, Orm, or Chetney at that point, and she chose Ashton. Second time she chose Chetney, but he was the only one that was down and not dead.
Yeah.
So there was no other choice. But she chose Ashton when she had a choice.
Yeah. Mistake number 2. Deciding to run.
Yes. Can we preface this by saying, if they had been fully rested and not used up all their resources, I think this could have been a fair fight and they could have won.
I think this was nearly a fair fight, even with their expenditures.
Yeah.
Because she was bloody.
Haggard.
She was bloody, and almost nobody was fighting her.
If they hadn't spent so much time running.
So they tried to run away from a foe who has displayed a higher mobility than you have.
Yeah.
Because she was waiting for them outside.
Yep.
So either she can see the future, or she's very fast. And we learned that...
Either way is going to screw you over if you run.
Yes. And they decided, we're going to run. And they decided, let's scatter. Mistake number 3. Scatter.
And Ashton even, or Taliesin even points that out. When someone says, we scatter, he says, but then she can pick us off. Then she gets to choose who she picks off.
Yep. Yeah. So much of Taliesin's this episode was... no! And, yeah, it was...
Yeah. And she exhibits the subclass abilities of both Echo Knight and a Psi Knight.
Yeah, but I think the Echo Knight stuff, the Dunamancy stuff, is her backpack.
Okay.
And I think the Psi Knight is what she is probably based on.
Yeah, Ashton got hit really hard, really early.
Yeah, it's...
What happens when you aren't raging as a barbarian?
Yeah. And, like, if they would have come together and stayed together, they would have kicked her ass.
Yep. Because she wouldn't have been hopping all over the battlefield if they were all next to each other.
Yep. Well, and they're closer together for heals.
Yep.
There's just a lot of stuff that she doesn't get. She doesn't get to choose her targets. They could have flanking on her. And now she's going to have to try to use her movement powers to get away from them.
Yeah.
And when she does that kind of thing, that's when you can turn and run.
Yeah.
If you want to escape and not take out the bad guy. Chetney, Travis, right idea from the beginning. Close, engage, and don't let go.
Yep.
And maybe that's just...
He was the chihuahua on the ankle.
Yeah. And maybe that... Like, I'm always harping on how combat is role-playing. And maybe that was just Chetney role-playing.
Yeah.
And the consequences be damned.
Yep.
And I don't know if he was doing it to protect Fern or Imogen. Like, I don't, or just because he's a werewolf, you know. But yeah, the fact that the wildfire spirit was topping the DPS is why I say if they had stayed together, even with just cantrips and the melee attacks, they would have killed her.
Yeah.
Imogen could have gotten away. But she comes back. And we also got confirmation Odahan does recognize Imogen from dreams, having previously seen her.
Yeah.
And
there was so much Emperor coercing Luke feeling in this that I almost expect, not that the Emperor did it, but it was so Star Wars, I almost expected Odahan to turn and be like, Imogen, I am your mother.
Yeah.
I mean, if Imogen is in her early to mid-20s and Odahan appeared about 20, that's the right time for when the mom left. The timing's right. And they both have psi powers. And she never knew.
You know, I was thinking that's a funny parallel. That's a funny joke. That would have been funny. And now I'm just like, shit. What if she is?
Yeah, that I went through that process while watching it. I was like, oh, that's good. Oh, that'd be, yeah. That's just. Oh, wait. Is it? Wait, hang on. It's plausible. I hope it's not.
I kind of hope not too.
Because it would just make it feel too much like, hey, let's be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, with the whole given, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
The strong, we only need the strong, you know, it's like, okay, we get it. You're a Sith Lord and you're trying to convert the young farm girl.
It's funny you mention that because it is on its face. It's right there.
Yeah.
But all I could think about was Campaign 2, the Lorenzo fight.
Yeah.
Because so much of the fight, especially once it became evident that Odahan wanted Imogen, and some talking started happening.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is very Lorenzo-esque. Especially when it's like, you know, the attitude was, I was willing to let your friends, you know, chance live or die. And since I can't get your attention any other way and they won't stay down. Chunk, chunk.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and just do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when she felled Orem, that was very Lorenzo and Mollymauk. Yeah. That moment where she's like, okay, you're down. Matt's like, okay, you're down. Let me stab you. Okay, that's 2 saves. Okay, let me stab you again. I was like, that was like flashback. Like, that moment right there was just flashback to Lorenzo and Mollymauk.
He basically asked him the same way that he asked Taliesin, what do you want your last moments to be?
Yeah. And thoughts of failure and seeing Will and Derek again. Which is the first confirmation that we got that Derek is truly dead. He just wasn't mentioned.
Yeah.
But now we know for sure that Derek is dead.
The other big thing that I wanted to talk about is Matt. Laura wasn't getting what he was laying down. And I think Matt was trying to set up an empowering moment where she taps into her real power and unleashes the storm. And he wanted that to be a choice that she made to give her power and whatnot. And thrice she denied him. And the second and third time, Matt made her make a wisdom saving throw. Because she was surrendering to Odahan and trying to give Matt what she thought he wanted.
Right.
But that's not what he wanted. He wanted her to unleash the storm. I mean, maybe Laura did get it, and that's not... Because Imogen would be hesitant to do that. And maybe there was just some back and forth, and Matt realized after the first time, and especially after the second time, she either isn't getting what I'm laying down, or Imogen doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to chance taking that choice away. And that's where the wisdom saving throw came in, and that's why it's perfect that she rolled a natural 1 on the second one.
Yeah.
The storm comes out, consumes everything.
She turns crimson.
Matt calls it.
Yep.
I think that's a great way to get to where he wanted. Because what he wanted was to press them.
Yeah.
To really... Because this is going to be the first fight where they're in real danger. The Shade Mother...
To be fair, they were in pretty real danger when FCG flipped out on them.
No.
Chetney was.
The only other real danger they were in was facing the Shade Mother. But they weren't really in danger because they had the 2 experienced hunters with them. But this is the first time they've been sort of on their own. They're down resources.
Yeah. And
she is probably a CR 10 to 12. Doable.
Yeah.
With a party their size, 7th level.
Yeah.
It's doable. And it also, in designing her in that range, also keeps her a threat for a few more levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Matt expected at least one person to go down and possibly die.
Yeah.
And I think he was fine with that because he gave them diamonds.
Yes.
And FCG...
And I would like to point out a lot of people in there are like, they have 4 diamonds, they're fine, you know. I remember for a fact when 3 of them were given me, he said there's 3 diamonds, each worth 100 GP. And Revivify costs 300 gold worth of diamonds.
Yeah.
So 3 of those 4 are going to be used for 1 casting.
Yeah. And if he brings back Fern, you pointed out that
her subclass has it. Revivify auto repair.
It's a circle spell.
Yeah, it's a circle. So if they have the diamonds and FCG brings back Fern, Fern can bring back Aura. I don't think they have the diamonds for it.
I don't think so.
There are a couple other options. We each had one.
Yeah.
Mine, Ashton was left for dead. They used that vial of great dunamanic liquid, poured it in his head. He came back with his abilities. They have 3 vials we mentioned earlier of the great, plus a whole lockbox that was intact.
Yeah.
Could be more in there. They could bring him back with dunamancy.
Yes. I don't. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think that's the way it's going to go.
Okay.
I think what we're going to see is a Imogen ex machina. And I think her expression of the storm is going to be what saves them.
And see, to me, that result would feel forced and scripted, and it would make me lose concern for them dying in the future. If he plants in one of your party members can just poof everybody back. For me, that is the least desirable.
So here's how it happens. We have seen a city on Ruidus. We have seen a divine gate structure around Ruidus. Imogen is unleashing something of Ruidus in the town, which is nearby where an apogee solstice ley line convergence is happening.
Right.
So we have time and power and location limitations on this thing happening. So, off the bat. Second, we've been talking about the dream episode, where they all share consciousness.
Yeah.
I think Matt begins next episode with Orem and Fern at a table.
Okay.
Red.
The red room.
And we are going to see through this mini adventure that he's going to do that he's going to be able to get out exposition about Ruidus, exposition about the Divine Gate, and give them an opportunity to save members of their party. Because if they can do all this, then it becomes a miracle of sorts. Especially if Matt is trying to cut out all of the D&D and Pathfinder deities that they've been using to this point and wipe the slate clean and have his own deities come forth.
Possibly.
Because Imogen then becomes one of these.
She becomes the gold moon of Exandria.
Yeah.
I don't know. If she's got this power, yeah, granted, you know, you're setting all these restrictions on it, which may or may not be the case, you know. It's still...
It prevents an ex machina that they can pull out of their house anytime, is what I say. What I'm saying.
It just makes it feel like Buffy and the Scooby Gang, or Doctor Who and the Companions. It's Imogen and these people. And
so,
as a DM, I don't feel a campaign should center around just one of the players. Like, each one should have the spotlight at some point. Yeah, an arc can center around a character, but the whole campaign should not.
Except we have indications that last campaign, that's exactly what it was going to be. Molly was going to be that axis. But he died, so he wasn't. And Caleb sort of became the axis. Largely through through roleplay, but also just where Caleb's story rooted everything in the big, overarching thing. And of all the players, Liam's the only one that had world-altering goals for his character.
Do you think that either Liam or Ashley are going to choose to not bring their character back?
Ah, yes. Another interesting possibility.
Especially given Matt's, hey, we're about, something like this happens. I say, hey, do you want to keep exploring with this character? Do you want to alter something, which would be the Hollow One or something? Do you want to explore with a new character? Whichever you choose, we're going to make happen.
I agree with Rose. Orem's last words felt pretty solid.
Yeah, I 100% agree too. That's what my feeling is. I don't think it's Liam's ideal ending for Orem, but I think it's a satisfying ending for Orem. And I think, my gut says that Liam is going to be the one to switch out characters, if anyone does.
I think that's true.
And I almost feel like 45% that it's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and of all of them, Liam seems the most prepared with a magazine of characters.
Yeah.
To just load the next one.
Yeah, he's like me, constantly coming up with characters. Like, I've got at least 12 that I can... It's just a matter of, we're creating characters. Okay, which one do I want to commit to right now?
Yeah.
Let me throw that down on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those were appropriate last words for the character Fern.
Yeah.
But I don't think she was ready to give up. And the other thing is, the wildfire spirit is about rebirth, so.
She comes back as a fire genasi. As Fern immolates and becomes the Phoenix.
That would be awesome.
Fire genasi.
That would be an ex machina that I'd be more okay with than ultimate, because that ties directly into the fluff of her subclass. And it also ties to what she experienced on the Mesa that appeared in EXU.
Yeah.
It ties into that when she reached in and got Mr.
So, if Matt hadn't asked for their last words, because he knew he had this side adventure planned.
Mm-hmm.
And for a host of reasons, he could have it planned. Whether 1, 2, 3, 4, however many died or didn't die, that this was going to happen at some point.
Yeah. This is the third time we've seen people try to deliberately kill downed creatures.
Yeah.
First was Lorenzo with Molly Mock. Second was the pirates with, or the cultists with Ford and Ori.
Yeah.
Orly. And then now.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets that one. I'm still mad that they didn't tell us why they went after Orly like that. Matt, I want answers.
Yeah.
If I ever go to con and get to ask you a question, Matt, be prepared.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, if Matt hadn't asked them about for their last words, it would have telegraphed that he had this planned.
Yeah.
Do you think...
He did seem more calm about it this time than when Molly died.
Yeah. And again, I think it's because he had planned this. Yeah. And he had planned for this to happen, for them to almost die, and whatever he's got planned next for this eruption of Ruidus.
Yeah.
And potentially new faith in the party.
Yeah.
Which FCG has kind of been flirting with the Changebringer.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that came about because FCG has not told us what their holy symbol is.
Yeah.
And it sort of falls into the realm of the cleric habit that the clerics don't describe how they're casting their spells. They just do it. And because they can do everything through their holy symbol, who cares?
Yeah.
But I think Sam was trying to think about that, and Matt gave him this Changebringer coin, which allows for that. Oh, I just realized something. Four-sided dive. They were talking about how Sam has been playing a lot of his cleric abilities as extensions of his technology.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, yeah, but I was looking ahead at some of the stuff, and like none of it makes sense anymore. Like from that angle. So
that's when you multi-class.
I mean, yeah. But what would he multi-class into?
Artificer.
Does he have the intelligence for it?
Mm.
I don't think he does.
I'm going to go with that hasn't stopped them before. May I present evidence A? Ford.
Well, he ex machina that +1 strength.
He can ex machina +1 intelligence then.
All right, fair enough.
If
Artificer would be a nice interesting multi-class for him.
That's a simple answer of what someone based on technology multi-class is into.
Yeah.
Because then everything in Artificer, period, you can base off.
Well, and the interesting thing with that is, much like Data building LOL, like FCG then begins to build his own automata.
Be a battle master and create his own.
Yeah. And perhaps in doing that, answer the question that he has about himself. Whether or not he has a soul or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But based on the Changebringer coin and some of the stuff that he's doing, I don't think we're going to see it. I think he's going to continue with Cleric.
I agree.
So, yeah. I did want to make one last joke.
Oh, yeah?
Ashley Birch should be off the hook now. Or she should be jealous of Imogen's body count. I mean, if she gets blamed for Molly, Imogen has to get blamed for this.
Yeah, no, fair. Well, I don't know. Because Keg had background with Lorenzo. Ashton's the one that has background with Peregrine's Call. Or at least with the city and the area.
Yeah, but who the bad guy wants is the important part.
Okay.
But we'll see if I'm right and we have an adventure to get the souls to bring them back, to heal them through supernatural means. Yep. Or if you're right and
it's Dunamatic. Yeah. Or if they do have enough diamonds.
But without whatever is going to happen in the storm, I don't think they have time to cast Revivify because Thule is still there. I think she's going to let that happen.
Yeah. Has to be within a minute.
Yeah. So either way, however you slice it, there's some narrative stuff happening.
Yeah, very much so.
And we'll know probably in the first 15 minutes of the next episode.
Oh, real quick, I know we're going a little over. MVPs. This one was super hard for me. There was a lot. See, in the final fight, yes, 100%.
Well, and in going and keeping everyone focused and getting past the initial guards, opening the thing, intimidating him to get in the
fair,
hole.
Orem did as much, if not more, in that first half for that team than Chetney did. I mean, it was pretty equal all three parts.
But I don't necessarily disagree with your pick.
Ashton was up there, especially, you know, keeping FCG and Fern in line. Of course, Imogen has to be in the running because so much of the story part hooked on her.
Yeah.
My choice was Laudna. She exhibited no abilities. She went with the plan.
Yeah.
Used resourcefulness to get that. When that plan fell through, she did amazing resourcefulness in doing the next best thing and potentially the better thing anyway.
Yeah. Arguably, for sure.
She brought 2 people back in the last fight. She went down. She pulled that Nat 20, came back. She did go down again. The whole, as I wait, Imogen, you know, Laudna gets it for me.
Yeah.
And I may be biased, but
no, for Wither,
gets it.
Wither and Bloom. Yeah.
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 So.
A party gift for Orem Rose.
Fair.
At any rate, we'll see this Thursday. We'll talk about it next Tuesday.
Yep, I guess.